Hey you guys, it's Mitchie by Shatera Am here, Goddess Intuition. I hope you all are fabulous and well, honey, because I am. So we're gonna have girl chat, okay? And I wanted to talk about just a few things. We can't cover everything in this one video, no. There's many more to come. But in particular, just a few key components when it comes to femininity. And I do have a feminine page on Facebook, Tara Latrice, and yeah, let's get right into the video. And so I did on Self Love Sundays, I did a blog in regards of femininity and how, of course, we didn't grow up with certain key factors as young girls, and how that can really play a huge part in our decision making, in our just everyday judgment as far as which way to go in life, and how as a women we really need guidance. As young girls we really need guidance, and yeah, so I wanted to again touch on a few key components, and for any mother that is raising a beautiful daughter, beautiful girls, you really want to kind of look at your own life in a sense of what has carried you all the way up until now. Being a sister, being a mother, being a friend, right? And it plays a big part in our lives as women, as a collective. And as I can say, generations before the current generation now, what the millennials, if you will, and we're all in that generation as a collective, as a culture. And just being here in America, it's different from other places. Just from the things that I've heard and the things that I've researched, it's different. And growing up here in America, our girls aren't taught certain key components when it comes to self love, right? And I can go into the whole different aspect of, the spirituality behind it, but I kind of want to just keep it on subject here. So, we weren't taught certain things as far as self, and how it's really important that we look at ourselves, we focus on ourselves. Um, we um, as far as self-expression, right? Femininity again. And I just want to be honest. Um, a lot were missed, right? A lot were, and it can again have everything to do with the culture, with social engineering, conditioning, things of that nature. And girls in particular here in America isn't taught to put themselves first, um, not taught to love themselves first. And I'm all about self love. I've been on my journey for a while, and I'm all about self love. And I strongly believe if you have certain fundamentals when it comes to um, assertiveness, being a woman, being assertive, knowing exactly what you want, positive image within yourself, within other women and peers. It plays a huge, huge factor in our lives. Whether we know it or not, whether we are, rather we are aware of it or not. You know what I'm saying? And just me being a mother, um, it opened up my eyes to a lot. It opened up my eyes to, um, just a lot. Um, just being a girl, being a woman, and uh, having, like, sometimes it's like the world is against you because you are a girl, because you have a vagina, because you look a certain way. It's like it's this whole structural conditioning surrounding women and um, our beauty and the way we should look and how we should carry ourselves. And it made me again really open up my eyes and accept a lot about myself and who I am and who I'm growing into as, excuse me, as a woman, um, as a sister, as a friend, right? And it's like it has to it has to have results, positive results, I'd say. And when we think about our girls and how um, we have to give them, shower them with attention and love and softness and allow them to be who they are, you know, allow our girls to, um, make mistakes and help guide them without, scrutiny, but more so compassion, right? Because as a collective, we all make mistakes. We all go through different things. We've all been through a lot as far as, childhood and adolescent years. So it could be very difficult when you don't have certain structure in place, certain guidance, right? And um, I feel very strongly about, changing things up a bit, kind of going against the social norm, when it comes to, how girls should be raised and how we should be this and be that. And let me just say, a lot of things, um, as far as femininity, as being soft, as being, acknowledged how beautiful we are and the way we look, and uh, positive health, body image, beauty standards, all of that. Yes. However, I don't want to ignore that a lot that has been passed down to us is very conditioning and can be dangerous, to our girls today, if we don't allow them to be who they are within their own autonomy. I'm all about self. I'm all about, if you learn who you are on this journey physically, through trial and error, through experiences, through others' story. And I feel like you can really capitalize um, on your wealth within your internal wealth is what I want to say. And um, yeah, our girls really need that positivity along with assertiveness and compassion from us as mothers, as women, and it makes me think about when you hear the stories of the past generations, our ancestors, and how the grandmothers would sit around and teach the daughters and, help the daughters with their hair, brush their hair. And, fast forward today, we have social media, of course, and how there has been a lot of social engineering, on how we should look and how we should carry ourselves. And we have to, first and foremost, go within ourselves as women. And the little girl that lives inside of us, we have to communicate with her and we have to ask her, how does she feel? Um, what has she learned? Because again, we've all gone through different, it could be trauma, it could be ill advised, and fragments of us as little girls are left in different scenarios that has happened in our lives, and as far as boundaries, again, being assertive, knowing what you want, knowing your worth, knowing that you have all of the tools and the keys that you need inside of you already. You don't have to do anything extra to be someone else. You can really be who you are and love that and not be ashamed of that, right? And so, yeah, I'm just sitting down here and just thinking, you know, and when I was doing my blog, a lot was coming to me, and what came to me and what stood out the most was self, the little girl inside of us. I don't care if you're 30, 17, 40, 75, that little girl still is there inside of you, inside of me, and we have to cherish that. We have to love her. We have to honor her. We have to shower her with attention, you know. And I tell my daughter all the time, I say, I feel like we're growing up together, you know. And she said, yeah, I know, Mom, it's really, really strange, but I feel like we're sisters, but I know you're my mother. And I tell her that all the time. I'm like, I feel like you are my sister, and but I know you're my daughter, And it's so crazy because we learn from each other. And if you don't have healthy, positive elements around you, environment, peers, it can be very detrimental to your health, to your mental health, to your well-being. Because there are a lot of horror stories about women growing up around just other women, and the cattiness and the competitiveness, and just downright mean. And it's like, you learn to be soft, to be loving once you become a mother, right? And so that was, for me, that was the biggest thing for me. I'm like, okay, wow, I'm having a girl, and um, I know she's gonna love makeup and beauty like me, but I also, as I, um, you know, have gotten older, realize more and more that I want her to be her own person. I want her to experience life through the lens of her own autonomy, her own gifts and talents, and her own philosophies, right? I say the least, we influence our daughters just being, every day who we are, and us being an example for them. We influence our daughters in such a way, we impact them in such a way. However, when they get out there in the real world, socially, that impacts them also. And we have to be mindful of what we're teaching our daughters when it comes to standing up for themselves, boundaries, that has everything to do with self-love, right? And I tell my daughter this every day. Meditation is important, standing up for yourself, knowing what you want, and being assertive. We have to have that because it's a form of protection for us as women and as daughters and mothers ourselves. And the world can be very cruel. The world can be very selective in how um, the compassion, you know, it can be very selective with cultural differences and um, different nationalities and races of people. And so I'm going to really be touching on a few things that are seen as controversial, possibly, but it's needed. It's It needs to be said. It needs to be um, a conversation going on about it, and I'm not afraid and ashamed to um, join in that conversation, because it is a conversation that's happening all over the world and here in America. And being a black woman and raising a black daughter, a biracial daughter, right? Um, it plays a big factor, and I don't want to have this element of surprise to her as far as who she is, and what she represents, what I represent, right? And so yeah, it's a lot to touch on, and I just wanted to share a few um just a few little gems within this video. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. I will be doing more videos, more blogs, and again, Self Love Sundays is on. Um, I just share a lot of what I do personally, and I hope that it resonates with whoever it needs to as far as spirituality goes. I do have a spiritual channel. It's called MHN by Shatera and Blogs. And yeah, I have a couple of different things, you know. And let me say, as women, we are phenomenal. We are multi beings, and we wear many different hats. And so, just like this glitter one, honey, grow into that, harness that energy, and love that. Most of all, your signature, who you are as a person, self evaluation, your desires, the things that you want, the things that you want to accomplish, legacy. It plays a part. And yes, we're coming into, we're already here in 2020, we're finishing up the little last bit of 2019. And what do you want to do with your life? How do you see yourself within the next 10 years, right? The next 5 years? It plays a huge impact. And like I said, things are changing. The dynamics is changing when it comes to our daughters. And we can learn a lot from the younger generation. It's the saying that I always say, when you hear someone that is older say, oh, I don't understand how these kids are acting like this and how they are doing this and doing that. And I always say, they got it from the past generation. So we can't look at them and say, oh, I don't know what's happening, where you get it from. They learn it from us. We learn it from our past generation, and they learn it from their past generation. So the only way that we're going to get on this path of self-love and rediscovering who we are as a collective, as individuals,